Welcome to another edition of Great Health, Abundant Happiness, and Outrageous Love. Mwah. Beautiful day out here.
Sure is.
Got my sunblock on. Make sure you wear your sunblock on your lips.
And your nose.
Yeah, and your nose, yes. Hey, so we did a message the other day around law of attraction and basically creating your own environment, how you have total control of your life's path. Now, someone was questioning, well, we don't have total control of everything. What about, if it rains or there's a storm or a tornado or, or you run into somebody that's really negative and you're really positive today. Or the other way around too is if you're really positive or you're really negative and this person is positive. Hopefully that doesn't happen, that we're negative, but that can happen too.
It'll happen.
But it's all about how you deal with it. When Karen and I are looking for a sunny day like this and it's all of a sudden raining, we'll say, well, that's great. The trees, the flowers, all the vegetation really needed that water. It's great for the wildlife. So,
and whatever we find to do as an alternative, instead of walking in the rain or maybe walking in the rain, is different than what we anticipated. But that's awesome.
Yeah, but we love it either way.
Either way, it's great.
It doesn't affect us. But with that being said, when you run into somebody that maybe they're negative or maybe they're not negative, but they're not helpful. Mm-hmm. But you just had one of these examples. You were talking about this with me a minute ago. So why don't you share that?
I did. So I had a situation where I was calling to pay a bill. And I got the appointment department who told me that I needed to call their billing department where this bill is now sitting. And so I did that, and they had no recollection of it. I hung up and I called back to the office again and got somebody different. And she also told me I needed to call the billing department where this bill was. So I did that a second time, and I got somebody who, he checked high and low, all the information that I had, and had no recollection of it. Anyway, so he told me, I think our front office might have it. They're the only ones that can help you. So I called back to the appointment department again, and I explained what I'd experienced. And she put me on hold, and she came back and she said, I spoke with them, and they do have it. It's in our system that they have it, something like to that effect. So I said, well, I've tried twice. I really want to pay this bill, and I wanted to check it off my list. I was having a really productive day.
And when Karen says try it twice, I'm in the background. I'm doing something else. I'm listening to her. This isn't a 2-minute conversation. This is on hold for 10 minutes. This is on call for another 10, 20 minutes.
Right.
But these are like half-hour at least conversations each time.
Exactly. So I was really trying very hard to get this accomplished, and I kept hitting some roadblocks. So I had a lot of options. I could have just said, screw it, I'm not paying this bill, which wouldn't have been that would have been to just spite myself, right?
Well, you had to change your whole attitude. That's not the mode you're in, right?
Right, exactly.
Actually,
great point, Jeffrey. That's the point. I would have had to change my attitude to become, more negative about it. And I just wasn't willing to do that. So I called back again to the front appointment office, and I explained to her what had happened. And it was a different person yet again. And so she told me I had to speak to so-and-so there, who was the first person I spoke with, so 3 calls ago in that department. So I said, great. Can you put me through to her? She wasn't there, but I kept trying and trying. I finally got in touch with her, and I said, I'm trying to pay this bill. There's no recollection of this bill at the department that you're telling me to call. They have no information at all. They don't know anything about this bill, and I just want to pay it. So she said, well, puts me on hold, and she comes back. She says, well, it's there. It's been sent to their department. And, basically that's all she really wanted to do for me. So I said, well, could you stay on the line with me and call that department which I know she'd already checked with to see if it was there, and to stay on the line with me and maybe even give him some information, some account number internal that I'm not aware of. So she says, I can't do that. And at this point, I'm on speaker and Jeffrey's listening to me as well. Thanks for stopping. I'm out of breath. We're up in
Sorry.
10,000 feet of copper here. And I've got Sugar Baby on my back, so another 13 plus pounds back there. So I'm on the speakerphone with Jeffrey, and actually we're out for a beautiful hike and the scenery was gorgeous. I wasn't going to let my mindset be affected by anyone else's mindset, and that's the key to law of attraction. So,
And not just their mindset, but what they're putting out there. It's the vibe. It's the low vibration this other person was putting out. And I wouldn't say she was negative, but she was very unhelpful. She was stuck there.
She was stuck and unhelpful. So when I asked her if she would pull them on the line, she told me she couldn't do that. And I said, I know you can do that because you just put me on hold and told me you spoke to them. And then she said something like, well, you're going to have to call them. They won't talk to anyone but the client. I said, that's fine. Pull them on the line and I, the client, will talk to them. She says, I'm not going to do that. And I explained to her, I said, you know, you can help me. You can help me pay this bill and get this solved. Wouldn't it feel so good to help someone today? I said, and I'm not asking you for a huge help. I'm not asking you to cure cancer in the world. I'm not asking for anything unreasonable. I'm just asking you to help me get this paid, and you have the contact to do that, right? So essentially the point here is that you have a lot of options when you come up against obstacles that keep you from obtaining the results or goals or whatever it is that you want to attract back in, right? So it's our job to maintain our own goals. No one else can change those goals for you. So if I had in fact allowed her to, you know, just absolutely shut me down without at least trying, without knowing that I did everything that I could, then it would be on me to say, you know, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. I love that saying. I think it's so great for so many things. So in the end, we were on the phone for quite some time and couldn't get it resolved at that moment, but at least figured out that it could be resolved in a few days. And I believe this was all on Friday, right? So and
it's resolved today, which is a Monday, which is
exactly
great. So it's all fixed.
So it was all stuck in the system between those two departments. And then today we get the call and it was completely resolved with literally a 2-second phone call, which was great. But the point is that I asked her for help. And I think sometimes we expect the other person to not help us, and that's what you're going to get. That is the law of attraction. If you are expecting them not to help, they might not help you.
Well, the question that came up was, you might be expecting all goodness, but all of a sudden you turn the corner and there's someone that's not going to help you.
Right.
So that doesn't mean you have to drop your vibration down, get in an argument, and say, screw it, I'm not dealing with this. But you did not do. You held your flag high and you kept moving. But there are times when, you know, you're on a positive path and you run into something that's negative. Like, you know, it could be the weather. It could be someone who's unhelpful. It could be terrible news from a friend or a relative. But at the end of the day, you have to always believe that everything happens for a reason, as we always say.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes there are challenges. I look at them as just speed bumps in the road. You just have to think, well, what does this mean for me moving forward? Maybe I need to change tact a little bit. Maybe I have to change something that I'm doing, but this is a good lesson for me.
Right. So essentially, you know, the answer to that question is it really depends on how you want to receive it. It's completely up to you. So if you are reaching out to someone to get something done or accomplished or to rectify something and you feel like you're hitting a roadblock and this person is not being helpful, the way that you internalize it and decide it's going to affect you is completely up to you regardless. Jeffrey and I'll give you another quick instance is, and I can't remember who it was, but there was somebody that...
Just leave the names off.
Leave the names off. And this has happened to us several times, so we actually make this game of it, who was really, really negative. No matter what we said, you know, we were trying to make an appointment, whatever, there's no appointments that week. No appointments that person. No problem, that's fine. What about the next week? How about this? When can we get in next? So we're always trying to work, you know, to accomplish what we want, which is the appointment in this case. And this particular gal I'm thinking of, she is such a beautiful girl. She clearly spends a lot of time on herself because every time that I see her and Jeffrey sees her, she's got her hair done beautifully and her makeup's done and her nails are done and she's dressed to the nines, but yet she's got this really, really sour look on her face. And so Jeffrey and I sort of made it a goal and a mission. We call it a broker, right? To get her to smile and be happy. I don't know what's going on in her life, you know, and I'm not privy to that. But clearly something is wrong that she is so negative and that she doesn't want to help anyone. And it's not just Jeffrey and I. You know, we see people before us and after us going up and are hit with the same exact, you know, type of attitude. Anyway, so when you present to somebody that you are open, or maybe even show them, like in the other example where I told this woman, I said, you have the power to help me. You know, you're the only person that can help me here. Wouldn't that feel great? Same with this gal, but in a different way. And we just always presented her with the biggest, brightest smile. We would say, isn't it a great day? And we would compliment her. If Jeffrey and I were not there at the same time, he'd say, yeah, I told her I really liked her hair, or something like that to, you know, help boost her confidence, because we don't know, A, what people are experiencing, and B, some people have never experienced happiness and joy. If you haven't experienced it, you cannot give it. And that's so important. So by sharing your joy with somebody and they can see it is something available to them,
be that light giver instead of a light taker, as we always call it. So we make it a goal to try to give our light and try to get someone to shift over. But you know, some people don't want to be helped. I mean, you guys know there are plenty of people out there that love the drama. They love the negativity. They're sarcastic. You know, sometimes it's kind of funny and sometimes it's not when it goes on and on too much. We've got friends like that. But at the end of the day, you have a choice. You have a choice every split second of this life in which way you want to go. You can be positive, you can be negative. You can be sarcastic, you can be helpful. You can do whatever you want. So, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you choose, because it's your life. Right. The point is, you know, we try to go through, and this whole video we do is about manifesting things. This is a small piece. Well, what happens when you hit roadblocks? So I can tell you so many times we say we want X and X appears. Or we just mention someone and we turn the corner, there they are. Or we want a certain outcome, or you know, it's a certain amount of money that comes in, or it's a win, or it's something for this person, whatever it is, and something comes and satisfies that, you know, need. I want to use need carefully because you know, with you got to be grateful for everything you have, and you're never really in need. Right. And then when you're not in need, you're not lacking. That's when this stuff flows. So. You know, we're manifesting a lot of things lately and dots are connecting. The question was, well, what happens when I run into someone who might be negative when I'm positive? Or what happens when I run into a hurricane? You know, what happens when you get melanoma on your lip, or you get run over by a car, that kind of thing? There's always a choice on how you're going to deal with it. You can either go crashing down, take your vibration down to that level of that event or that person, or you can keep your vibration up and keep on your path. At the end of the day, no one ever said that every single thing is going to go your way. And if you think that is the case, you're going to be sadly mistaken. But the good news is you can look at each, you know, perceived negative situation and turn it into a positive, at least in light of the way you think about it. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. I mean, and you had mentioned getting run over by a car. So Jeffrey was run over by a car. I think we put that out. If not, we'll do another video.
Now, I
on
need
it.
to do a full-blown
Yeah.
video because we haven't done the whole story, but it's a long story.
It's a long story, and you know, it was not a pretty situation. But what we had been married 6 months to the day when this happened, and what stands out to me today still was his immediate gratitude for being alive. Okay, he could have said, "Why did this happen to me? What was that guy thinking? I'm gonna sue you. I'm gonna make sure that you never drive again." All these things. The only thing that I heard come out of his mouth was that he was so grateful to be here for me, is what one of the first things I think that you said to me, which just touched my heart and has stuck with me forever. But we have a choice in every instance. Let's say you're, supposed to catch a plane and the flight gets canceled. I know that that's frustrating and maybe you're going to miss your appointment, but there is a good reason. A, it's saving you from harm's way because a flight doesn't usually get canceled for no reason. And B, something different and maybe better, usually better, but something is going to present itself that otherwise would not have if things went status quo. So it's always important to be grateful for whatever is being presented to you, and that's our choice. We can resent it, so you can handle the law of attraction with resentment, and guess what? That's what you're going to get back. Or you can be grateful, and that's what you'll get back. It may not always be what you expect, and we heard something really interesting on anticipation, that anticipation is something that you should kind of release, and it opens up so much energy when you release the anticipation, because things sometimes are different, and every time they've been different for us, it's worked out to be somewhat of a miracle, but you don't always see that in
Everything happens for a reason,
Right.
and you just have to take the high road and focus on the higher vibe. You get to choose high vibe or low vibe every split second. Choose high vibe whenever you can, and things will work out.
Absolutely. Wishing you great health, abundant happiness, and outrageous love from Copper Mountain Resort in Copper Mountain, Colorado.